What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. I hope you're subscribing there on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify. Any one of those methods, I greatly appreciate it. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Brendan Post. I met this man with the help of Jacob with the KF Duval crew. He was nice enough to come on the show and share all of his stories. Although he's a Packers fan, I debated posting the show because I'm a Bears fan, if anybody doesn't know that. So I debated it, but it was a good episode. He's a good guy, so of course I wanted to share it. Guys, if you want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Brendan Post. Do you remember what initially got you started playing games? Was it a family member? Was it a friend? Was it some magazine or advertisement you saw? Like, what got you started?
So I was, I believe, 6 years old at the time, so first grade, and my uncle got me a GameCube for Christmas, and I had been at a kid's house, playing PlayStation 2 and stuff like that, but I never had my own thing, and then that came with Double Dash, and I think I got Simpsons Hit and Run as well, and that's basically how everything started.
Double Dash, which Fran Mirabella would say is a piece of garbage, but most people would say is a fun game.
It is my favorite game in the series for sure.
See, really?
Yep.
See,
I mean, I love Mario Kart 8. Don't get me wrong. I think it's probably just nostalgia blinding me. But yeah, I love Double Dash.
I mean, well, the other thing too is like, it's not a bad thing to say it's your favorite in the game because nostalgia. It's not even saying like. To say it's like your favorite game of a series or your favorite game in general, I mean, favorite is always subjective to each person, right? I mean, certain games are favorite to certain people for very specific reasons that have nothing to do with the game, right? Like, This game got me through this bad moment or this great moment or I had these great memories. Like, I mean, that being one of the first games you had. And, I mean, right there, that could say that's just my favorite because that's the thing that got me started. So It's not crazy to say that. Like, I remember Double Dash being... Because when I played Mario Kart, like, I had Double Dash, but also that wasn't my first one. But, like, I'm trying to think, either 8 or Mario Kart DS. Just because Mario Kart DS was, like, the first, like, online version of it and everything. And I just remember fucking... Because this is when Wi-Fi was, like, apparently complicated or hard or something. Like, I don't get what the deal was. But, like, at McDonald's, it was like, hey... We have you can go to McDonald's and it's almost like a guaranteed to work like Wi-Fi thing for the DS. And I remember McDonald's being down the street from the game store I worked at and just see fucking nerds in there with their DSs just like eating chicken nuggets and just playing Mario Kart. Like that was the big thing that's like you said, like same thing, with you, that being your memory for that. Like Mario Kart 8 gameplay wise is better than DS. But again,
for
DS,
sure.
Community of Mario, like online Mario Kart, people were like, this is what I want, even though Nintendo is still iffy on the online shit. I wish they would fix it, but that's okay.
DS was just super fun due to the fact that it was portable and you could play that anywhere. And
it was a solid version of the game too. It wasn't like, I mean, because sometimes you get those portable versions of games that are just bad. Like they don't hold up. They don't work. Like I remember Metroid Prime was on DS and I personally didn't like it. I was like, this is better having like just a controller and like bigger buttons and like just having something in your hand rather than like smaller size buttons or you using the touchscreen and stuff. I was like, certain games translate well, but Mario Kart's definitely, I would say that version was near perfect. You're just like, holy shit, this is like, at the time it was pretty much 1-to-1 with how Mario Kart was on the console. So it was
exactly.
This is a really good version of the game. So I know some people like Mario Kart 7.
Never played it
on Wii, but like, it was also during the Wii when everybody was doing stupid gimmicky shit. They're like, it comes with wheels. I'm like, who the fuck wants a wheel? Like, nobody wants a wheel. Nobody wants to do this shit. Like, nobody wants to wave their hands in the air and do that. So
I have a friend who, to this day, because he's just like he has the Wii controls molded into his brain, he will play Mario Kart 8 with motion controls.
To what precision are you relying on Nintendo's controller to give you?
I don't know, but he still wins somehow, and it kills me.
That would piss me off more to find that shit out. Be like, excuse me, you're doing what now? Like, yeah, the motion controls. Like, if again, like, I would imagine motion controls would be a standard on if you're like 6 years old. However, if you're adults and you have motion controls on, and then you beat me. I don't know if I could be friends with you. Like, I don't know. Like, I would be quite upset to hear that shit. Like, I mean, but there's some people out there that do weird shit like that. Like, you hear those people that beat, like, Dark Souls, no kills with fucking bongos, like the DK bongos, and you're like, I can't do it. Or there was somebody that was playing Overwatch, I think, with, like, potatoes. Like, they plugged
I think I saw that.
Like, like you're fucking playing with potatoes. What are we doing right now? Okay, then. But no, I mean, there's, I think the one craziest thing I think I've seen was like somebody beat Mario 64 without moving the analog stick.
How?
Like, they were able to do like backflips to move and like punches to move forward. Like, it was really, I'm telling you, like, and like he would get hit in certain ways to where as the character hit him, his character would get knocked and turned. So it was the craziest shit. I'll have to like find it and show you, but, I remember seeing, like, some people do those weird things, and meanwhile, I'm like, I don't have time to do that shit.
Well,
like, I barely have time to play games regular with a controller not, like, trying to, like, not do it without moving. So, no thanks to that. Did, as far as it goes, were your parents, I won't say encouraging of games, but were they cool with gaming, or were they kind of the parents that were like, you should get out of the house and go play some sports, or what were they like when you were growing up?
So they were kind of in between, I guess. So I pretty much was just like playing games through like 6th grade, and then they were like, get outside and then do sports and stuff. So from like 6th grade to 8th grade, I was active, barely touched a controller and all that. And then I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. So then I got a PS3 and then fell back hard into gaming.
Were they, I won't say did they force you to it, but like were your hobbies changing to the point where sports were becoming like more important than gaming, and then they were just kind of like, you should just focus on this instead of this, or were they straight just like, no, you're doing this?
It was more just hobbies, I guess. Like,
right.
Growing up in Green Bay, we love football with the
course.
Packers. So then
I hate that you had to mention that on my show, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Go Pack Go.
God damn it!
But yeah, for the most part, like they weren't just like, you need to play sports. It was hobbies changing.
Yeah, I mean, because that happens too, though. Like, I went through all of high school without barely touching games because skateboarding happened. Like,
okay, yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater was such a good game, it made me pick up a real skateboard, and then for 4 years, I didn't touch video games. Like, unless it was the new Tony Hawk game, but I didn't, like, I didn't buy a PS2 at launch, I didn't buy the new consoles. I was that weirdo that was asking for Tony Hawk 3 and 4 on PS1.
Oh.
They were looking like, what the fuck? And they came out, but they were just like very like, what are you talking about for PS1? I'm like, I still have a PS1 because that was the last console I had, but yeah, do you have it or not? Like, that's all. Like, I just wanted to skateboard more, so I didn't touch them until after high school. I got a job at a game store, and then that was where I was like, full blown back into gaming. Since then, I haven't stopped. So, but no, I mean, at least your parents weren't to the point where they were like, you absolutely have to go do this. I mean, also, because I've talked to some people on the show whose parents are like, they understand gaming because their parents are actually playing games as well, or they're just the opposite, where they're like, games are a waste of time, you shouldn't do this, you need to go out and do something else. So at least your parents weren't, at least when you asked, I want to stop, they weren't like, no. Like, they didn't say no.
I didn't even necessarily say I want to stop. I think they kind of just realized I wasn't super into it. And I did play baseball for a year in high school as well, but it was more or less just like, I think I'd rather just do something else than be forced to play sports.
Right. Were you playing, is that what you were playing, baseball?
I did, 6th grade, I was mainly just like doing cross country running and stuff like that. And then 8th grade, I went out for a middle school football team, played that for a year, was not a fan of getting hit by people.
Yeah.
And then,
can't imagine.
And then after that, I did baseball for a year in high school as well. And then just fell back hard into gaming and decided to do school stuff instead.
Did you, when you were playing sports, so you didn't really, like, when you were playing sports, obviously you had, like, friends that were more into sports than probably anything else. When you stopped, did they, I would try to think, like, were your friends still like, oh, you're cool, you're just playing games now, you stopped playing sports, or did you, like, not talk to any of those people anymore after you quit?
The nice thing was there was like a couple kind of dorky people on some of those teams.
Good.
So like I was talking with them about some video games. Like I was still casually playing, but not like to the point where I am now, where I'm playing pretty much nearly every day.
Right.
But yeah, they were all cool with the fact that I just didn't want to do sports.
Right. Because, like, I remember, especially kids, because kids are assholes. Like, in general now, when I, like, meet kids, like, I have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I won't say my kids are assholes, because that's, you can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I meet some kids, like, when my kids have birthday parties, and I meet some other kids that come to my house for these birthday parties, and I'm just like,
yeah.
God, I hope my kids don't act like you do when, like, if my kids acted like that at other people's houses, I'd be quite upset. But, like, you get kids that are, like, very cliquey, right? Where it's like, sports people talk to sports people, gamers, skateboarders. Like, when I was in high school, like, skateboarders, that's pretty much all. I try to talk to everybody. I wasn't like, oh, I won't talk to jocks, because I did high school wrestling for a year. Yeah, 1 year.
Okay.
I did, like, skateboarding, though, but then I talked to, like, music people. Like, I talked to everybody, but I know, like, there was jocks that straight just like, fuck video games, and I'm just like, wow, like, that, like, you give a shit about football and nothing else. Like, that's all you care about. And by the way, you're right. I was thinking about football, and then I was like, I don't want to get hit, and that shit sucks. Like, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, I think it all went downhill when I, like, got tackled and then, like, got the wind knocked out of me when I landed right on top of a football, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
That knocked the wind out where you get up and you're like, like, you just make that noise comes out of your body that you can't replicate, because unless you do it again, like, that's not a fun look. But I mean, yeah, cross country, I mean, you just fucking run. Like, you just run really far and long time, and as a person, like, now that sounds awful. Like, I would never want to just run right now.
Never again.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as it goes with gaming, though, like you said, you had some, like, nerdy friends that played and stuff. As you were growing up, before all the sports and stuff, did you have a lot of friends growing up around you where you played games quite a bit, or were you kind of more or less, not the only one, but like a select few people?
It was more or less just like a select few people. I don't think I had a group of friends where, like, we played video games a whole lot, but a neighbor who was pretty close to me, I would go to his house and we would play PlayStation 2, like, I think Gran Turismo, whatever number it was. But for the most part, I was just on my own playing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, also, too, especially where you grew up, like, the winters are, because I grew up in Illinois, and, I mean, obviously Wisconsin's a little harsher than where I grew up as far as the weather goes, but, like, I will tell you, as a person who moved to Arizona, I hated the snow, which is why I moved to Arizona. But, like, during those months, the only thing that was cool is you just basically sit inside and play games. Like, I very rarely, I tried snowboarding, until, you know, what's funny is you say you played football until you fell on a football and got the wind knocked out of you. I enjoyed going outside and snowboarding and stuff until I got snow inside of my snowsuit and I got wet, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'm fucking over this. I'm cold. I'm wet. I'm done. Take me home. Like, that's how I was with snowboarding. Like, the first time I got, like, just a lot of snow inside of my snowsuit or my gloves got up, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But the only cool thing about the winter times, especially it felt like Christmas break, was like, if you got games and you had people to play, like, you just sat for 2 weeks with no school, and you could use the excuse, it's really cold outside, I don't want to go outside, and you could just hunker down and play games. The only problem is in the summertime, it worked the opposite, where your parents will, like, get the hell out of the house, like, go do something. But you're like, I have 3 months off, I want to play games. And they're like, no, get out of the house.
Yeah, summertime was like, you get an hour a day and that's it. And that's not enough to play, to really even get invested in a video game.
Depends on the game, too, because, like, it depends on the games you're like, especially, like, if you're into JRPGs, an hour is nothing.
Yep.
It is
absolutely nothing.
Like, so your parents actually limited, like, they were, like, hour, and that's it?
For the most part. Like, on the weekends, I think it was a little bit more lenient.
Sure.
But yeah, like, during the summertime, it was like, go outside, ride your bike with your friends, and have fun.
My favorite part is like back then too is like going to your friend's house just meant going to your friend's house and playing games there because that's. I was just like, hey, I'm going to go to Gary's house and play games instead. If you're going to kick me out of here, like we'll just go to his house. And if they got kicked out there, we just go to Jared's house and do the same thing. So so like, did you ever nag, not nag, I would say, probably in your mom's opinion, did you ever nag for more time? Like, can I do this to get more time?
Yeah, I did. And for the most part, they were like, cool, just get to a place so you can save because like they understood that if I couldn't save, I was going to be probably pretty upset with the fact that I just made progress on something and then lost it all.
They probably told you to get off early one time and you couldn't save and they probably just shut it off. And after that one meltdown you had, they were probably like, all right, we can't have that again.
Yep.
Like the only thing is now is that, and my kids hate me for this, is Xbox has timers.
Yes.
And I'm talking hard timers. Like, not ways you can scoot around shit. Like, I have it set up to where basically any of my kids, if they log in on any Xbox, they have a certain time limit per day. It cuts them off. They can email me and ask me for more time because that's great. But I've gotten that too. My son will be like, because my kids during the weekends, I give them 5 hours because I'm a crazy person. But I give them 5. But also too, I'm like 5 hours. But otherwise, you need to get out of the house and do some other shit. But then they'll come up to me, Dad, can I get more time? I'm like, I gave you 5 hours. Like, that's a lot last time I checked. Like 5. But my son plays like Fallout 4. And he's like,
okay, that's awesome.
So again, I get it. I'm like, I get it. But no, like, go do something else. Or go do your chores or do some extra chores or something. And maybe I'll give you some more time. So, I mean, I got that bargaining chip right there. Cause like,
yeah.
And then recently they found out that I I found out about the parental control thing on the Switch, and they're pissed. Because when my son would, like, his Xbox would shut down, he'd just go grab the Switch and play Breath of the Wild for another 5 hours. But now he turned on the Switch the other day. He's like, what's this 2-hour thing? I'm like, oh, you noticed that? He's like, on this now, really? I'm like, yeah, really. You're not doing that. You can't get around me now. So, yeah, I mean, at least your parents, and now, like, I have a way to physically block them from doing it. Your parents just had to tell you, like, like, you know, you can't, you gotta go out of the house, you gotta go do stuff. So nothing wrong with that. So as you were growing up, you got a GameCube, you had that, you had Simpsons Hit and Run. Did you ever have any brothers or sisters or anything?
So my brother was born when I was 6 years old, so there was kind of a gap between us. So for the most part, I was just by myself playing games. But like he would come down and watch every once in a while. Right.
That's the problem when you have siblings that are that big of a difference apart. Not saying it's not like obviously you'll still connect, but like you're into different shit. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. I knew people on the show who had brothers and sisters that were like 15 years apart. And I'm
wow.
By the time you're 3, the other person's an adult. Like they're gone. Like you probably don't even see them. But like 6 years old, did you ever play games with him? Like did you ever do any co-op stuff or anything? I know the age difference is there, but like did you ever get to a point where you would do something together?
So what we would do, there was one game that he really enjoyed, and that was Madden 08.
Okay.
So we would create a random team and then do a fantasy draft, usually get the same players every single time. But then we would run through a season, and I'd be the quarterback, and he would be a running back, I believe. And then we would just run through the season together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was the other thing, too, is like sports games sports games are one of those games that you can definitely do couch co-op and everything. I mean, obviously there's more games now, but like before GameCube and stuff, because the best part is like, you literally entered the generation of gaming when 4 players was from the start, and you never had a console where 4 players wasn't an option, basically.
Yep.
So, I mean, at least with you had that option of like having multiple people play, but also the thing is like not just like 4 players, even though you only play with 1 or 2, but just like more games focusing on couch co-op being an option. Because like in the earlier consoles when there was only 2 players, I'm not saying games didn't have 2 players, but like. Yeah, they didn't focus. There wasn't as much of a focus on it, but like after the 64, everything started focusing on like couch co-op, 4 players sitting down playing together. So before things like the internet came out and made 4-player couch co-op like a thing of the past, unfortunately. But no, I mean, like I said, sometimes that happens. So So you had GameCube. Where did you kind of go from there after GameCube?
So after GameCube, Uh, the Wii came out, obviously, and just about everyone and their mother had one of those in America. So I saved up basically every coin possible for like a year and a half, and then brought it into the bank, and they pour it in to their little change machine, and and I had like
You had a GameCube, and then after GameCube, what did you end up doing?
so I after like going through the summer, I would save every single cent that I had, toss it into a jar, and eventually cashed it in at the bank to buy a Nintendo Wii. And that's kind of, I think, what caused me to stop playing games for a little while too. Granted, there was a lot of games, but like,
The Wii made me stop. Like, that's all I gotta say. The Wii made me stop playing games because I lost faith in all gaming. No, I'm just playing.
no, I think it was the fact that there was just so much motion control bullshit,
Oh my
especially
God.
near the beginning of the Nintendo Wii. That
Right.
was just bad. But of course, I still had good memories with that. Like, I used the GameCube backwards compatibility in that thing a lot too.
By the way, shout
yeah.
out to Wii for doing that, because that's insane
Yes.
to think about. Like, the top of the system had all the ports of a GameCube. Like, I was like shocked that they did that, and then the fact that they made the discs work still, I was like, that was a really smart thing. Because like, I remember like backwards compatibility for those launch consoles. Like, 360 had it, but it wasn't every game, and you
Yep.
had to have a hard drive to do it, which not every 360 had, unless you were stupid and bought an arcade. Like, I don't know why you buy a 360 without a hard drive. And then like PS3, those first model PS3s were fully backward compatible, but then like
Yep.
years later they ditched it because it was too expensive. So it's just like, it's crazy that Nintendo did that. But you're right though, those whole like all the motion control stuff.
Yeah, like I think I was like Wii Sports was just a game that was played, but like didn't really blow my mind. And then I just pretty much played Lego Star Wars the entire time on that. That was it.
Yeah, like Wii Sports, I will say, in my opinion, Wii Sports is the greatest packing game ever made.
It definitely.
It literally like it gives everybody. It appeals to every person. It is so easy to play, no matter what age you are. Like, it is literally the best packing game. And I mean, the only thing that pisses me off is that it's on NPD numbers, and I'm like, fuck you. It was free with the game, the console. Like,
Yep.
that shouldn't count, but it does. I just laugh though, because you're like, I bought the Wii and that fucking ruined everything. No, but
it didn't ruin everything.
it didn't ruin
but yeah.
everything, but like that console so focused on the motion controls. But the problem was too is like it doing that also fucked up people wanting to make games for it. Like,
Yep.
like, you know, Nintendo, like when a game like, why would they want to try to figure out motion controls for a game when for Xbox and PlayStation the controllers were essentially the same thing, and they just put it out there and that was it. Like, they had to
Yep.
go and fucking make it work for the Wii. I appreciated games on the Wii that were just like, okay, you can plug in a classic controller and just play that way if you want to. But no, you're right though. Especially if it was a Nintendo first party
Yep.
game, you had to use motion controls. There was like no option otherwise.
Still many memories and many hours devoted to Super Smash Brothers Brawl on that thing.
It's funny because I remember Brawl being such a big deal, but then like playing it, and I won't say it was bad, but it was just, it felt different than Melee. Something was like, and I remember people in the community afterwards were like how they didn't like it and how,
Yep.
yeah, whatever, for whatever reason. I just loved how Brawl happened, and they were like, by the way, here's Snake, here's Sonic. Like, they gave a shit more about like not just Nintendo property people. So I was like, that was where I applauded them for that. It's funny because like, you know, like you mentioned you got a Wii. I did the same thing, and I mentioned it in the last episode, but like I bought a Wii over a 360 because I'm stupid, number one. But number two, I thought about playing games with my wife because my wife wasn't into shooters and that type of shit, which is what I was playing
Yeah.
on Xbox. So I got a Wii at first, and we bought that. Of course, I got Twilight Princess, but I got like WarioWare, like games to play with her and stuff. But like, I remember Twilight Princess, I was like, this game is not terrible, but like, again, the motion controls, I was just like
Yeah.
you're shoving it. Like games like WarioWare though, it's amazing. Like those types of games are where motion controls are perfect because it's quirky and it's like different each time, you know, it's not just the same buttons or whatever. So I mean, like, I appreciated games like that. Of course, Wii Sports, like, that was a big deal because everybody wanted to do bowling or tennis and
Yep.
shit.
Yeah,
But-
that got my grandparents to play. So like,
yeah, and you're 100% right on the Wii, like being everywhere because again, when Grandma saw tennis and that she could do it, she went and bought one, and you were like, "Wow, Grandma owns a Wii." But that's also though how the NES was back in the day because like,
Yeah.
it was just so popular. It was everywhere. Like people had an NES in their house for when friends' kids came over and just go like,
Yep.
you go in that room and play that thing, and our parents or whatever going to talk and shit. Like, it was just weird, like how the Wii became that next thing. And I've had people on the show tell me how they like brought a Wii to a retirement home and they were showing like retirees how to play it. I'm like, again, that's how that system sold so well, though.
yeah. Well, I mean, and the Wii also, like, people were playing Wii Sports on news broadcasts. I remember, like, it was that
Right.
popular.
Yeah, it was on the news, which was the big shit, right? Like, if it's on local news, it's a big deal. I still love when they were trying to sell it on QVC and shit, and they didn't wear the strap and just launch a remote into a TV.
Yeah.
That's
But
so
I
funny.
think what eventually made me like kind of have a bit of a resentment toward the Wii was like I got all of my gaming news, I guess, just by watching like football on TV, and there'd be like a commercial for a game, and I'd be like, "Please be on Wii," and then it never was.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, because you're 100% right. Like, if a game was on Wii, it was like, holy shit, you guys put it on Wii. That's a big deal. And I remember, like, we've talked about Kind of Funny and shit. Like, Colin was like a big apology. Like, he was just like, no, man,
Yep.
it's good. It's good. And then he had to quickly just come to a realization, like, it's not, and no games are coming out for it. Like, again, certain games were fine, but then I think Nintendo kind of got the idea which in a way Nintendo probably didn't give a fuck at all because they were selling so many, but also
Yes.
they cared because like the Nintendo hardcore fan was like, we don't want to do motion shit. So then they started at least letting people use classic controller and, third parties. Like I remember Black Ops 2, I think came to Wii, or it was Black Ops 1. Like,
I think it was Black Ops 1. Yeah.
yeah, that came to Wii, and I remember I was like, holy shit. But again, like, when you start comparing that to the 360 version, it's like, if you only have a Wii, those are the only people that are buying this game on Wii, is like, if that's all you have. Because if you had a 360 or PS3, you were absolutely not buying it on Wii. So that was, when you got your Wii, was that around that time of like 6th to 8th grade where you kind of like
I think
stopped?
I was in 4th grade when I got my Wii, so I had my fun with it for sure. Like,
Right.
Playing Animal Crossing City Folk as well was another awesome time for me. But then, yeah, I kind of stopped playing that. And then in 8th grade, so 2012, really late, I got a PlayStation 3 finally, and that's where things changed.
Yeah, also, that console generation lasted for fucking ever.
Yes, it did.
Like, it lasted so long, because, like, to think, like, it was, what was it, 9, 10 years? Something like that? Like, it was, no, well, I mean, for the most part, like, a good chunk of it was, like, 7 or 8 years, I think, because I think it came out in Xbox came out in 2005.
Yeah.
Xbox One came out in 2013. So, yeah, 8 solid years of, like, this is the core. And, of course, still stuff came out after Xbox One came out, but, like, 8 years for a console generation is so long. And
Yes, that was a really long time.
so, did you get Wii, like, and you saved up enough money for the Wii by yourself?
I did, yes.
That's dude, especially as a kid, to save that much money and not spend it on shit is like next to impossible. So I applaud you for that, because that had to
Thank you,
take a
sir.
lot of will to like not. Dude, when you're a kid, money burns a hole so hard in your pocket. You're just like, I could go buy all these things right now, or I can get this one item. Like, that like backfired on me with my kid. I told him if he saved enough for an Xbox, if he saved, because my parents, when they did it, it was half. It's like, my grandma was like, if you save half of the money for a PlayStation, I'll use the other half and buy it for you as like a gift or whatever. So I did the same for my son. But then that backfired because it worked. Like, he actually did it, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't think you'd actually do this. Like, okay. Yeah. So, but lately he hasn't been able to do that. He's like, I want to get an Xbox One X. And I'm like, you don't even have a 4K TV, but sure, whatever. Like, he just, you know what it is though? When you play games like Fallout 4 or games like Loading on an OG Xbox One,
Oh, yeah.
are not fun.
No.
And he sees how quick it loads on my X, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, I just wish it was that fast. But yeah, he can't do that anymore. Like, he's like older now to where he's like, he knows things now. He's like, man, there's this Nerf gun that's out. I
Yep.
want to get this Lego set. I don't want to, for him to save up that much money again, unless he gets like a job and he gets all of it in one chunk like that, he's not going to be able to save, I don't think, like that again. So, my daughter, on the other hand, she can save because she doesn't like expensive shit. She just was like, she'll save all her money and just go, oh yeah, I can go do this. I'm like, yeah, I guess you can. So you got a PS3, but the good thing is that you got a PS3. I'm assuming, obviously, you didn't save up $600 because that's fucking ridiculous. That was ridiculous for an adult, by the way, to spend $600 on that thing. But you got a PS3 like later in the life cycle though, which is awesome because you kind of you got past all the garbage years, I will say. And that's the case with every launch. It's not just PS3, but like when a system launches, those first year or year and a half, it's rough just because shit's not coming out on a regular basis. So what were some of the first games you got for your PS3?
So first game that I got for that was so I got a combo pack with both Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2, which kind of made me fall in love with video games again, I guess. Kind of similar to Greg Miller, kind of funny's his Metal Gear story that he tells all the time.
Right.
Yeah. And then aside from that, I believe I got into all the Assassin's Creed games and stuff like that as well.
Dude, Assassin's Creed 1, terrible game.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed 2, phenomenal game.
I absolutely love Assassin's Creed 2.
I will say it's the game that that's the biggest turnaround I've ever seen on a game. Like, to go from a game that was like so basic and so boring and like character wasn't that great and like it was just like follow missions and stuff, like it just sucked. And then like 2 came out and was like, we heard everything you literally hated about 1 and made it all better in 2, and it was so much better.
2, you felt it like from the beginning too. Like as soon as that title card pops up on the screen, you're like, I am into this game.
Yeah, like it's just so much better. Like it's crazy to have a company. Like, first off, obviously Assassin's Creed 1 was still so popular that it sold enough to make a second one. But then when they heard all the shit people hated and then like, no, we fixed literally. Like, I remember Assassin's Creed 1 probably was getting like 6s or 7s, and then 2 was getting like 8s and 9s and like just so much different. But Ubisoft, for whatever reason, has that on lock, dude. Like, they finally figured out like same thing with, I won't say Watch Dogs 1 was bad.
Yeah.
But Watch Dogs 2 was so much better.
I had such a blast with Watch Dogs 2.
2 is so fun. And then, like, them talking about 3 in London, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, however, I don't think that's as big of a franchise that you could do compared to something like Assassin's Creed. Like, I don't think you could have them come out all the time like that. Doing them every, like, 3 or 4 years would be cool. I was weirded the fuck out when they did Origins and then Odyssey, like, the following year. I was like, please don't go back to doing this every year. And did you play like the other ones, like Origins and Odyssey?
So Origins, for whatever reason, I was not a huge fan of in the slightest. I don't know why. I just couldn't get into Bayek as a character. But Odyssey, I'm still playing through it, but I absolutely love Cassandra and everything that's going on in that game.
Yeah, I think you're still playing Odyssey along with everybody because that game is fucking enormous. Like,
yes, it is.
I was talking to people about this. Like, I stopped playing Witcher 3 because it was too big. Not because it was a bad game, but because I'm one of those people where I play a game and I like to hit parts of the map, right? So, like, if there's a map, I want to clear everything and then move on. I played 70 hours of The Witcher and did nothing. Like, I looked at the map and I'm like, I've done nothing. I can't keep doing this. This is just way too long. And then, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I started playing. And I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to have fun. And then I played for like 28 hours. And then I was on a boat. And I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, I'm on the boat. He's like, how long have you been playing? I'm like 28 hours. He's like, you have any idea how much fucking map you have still to go? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I open it up and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, so you just cleared like the first island.
Yeah, like I did like the island part. And then like you get to the point where you get to the boat. And then there's like the boat combat. And then you dock like on that first.
Okay.
That's literally where I've gotten so far. And then, like, I looked at my play clock, and I think it's like 20. It might not be 28. It might be like 22 or something. But it's still, like, a lot. And I'm just like...
That's a very big video game.
It is. And then my buddy's like, hey, dude, I played the main story, and it was like 80 hours. I'm like, why did I start this game? Like, this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a big game. But, and then he's like, wait, I have the DLC as well. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that to yourself? As far as it goes with gaming, so like, Uncharted 1 and 2 definitely will kickstart you back into gaming, though, because those
Mm-hmm.
games are pretty awesome. So when you got your PS3, did you kind of like, not say bye to your Wii, but we were kind of like, that was fun. Now I'm onto this thing.
Yeah, for the most part, my Wii has been in a closet since I got a PS3.
I think that's a sentence that a lot of people have said. Like, I think it's just like, yeah, I mean, like, once I got my 360, my Wii barely got touched. Like, barely. I didn't even, like, again, when, like, the Nintendo exclusive would happen, I'd be like, cool. When a new virtual console game came out, I'd be like, cool, but, like, otherwise, when Halo 3 happened and Skate happened, like, I didn't do any. And again, I was still into skateboarding, and I still very much am now. I'm just too fat and old to do it. So I just look at the culture and the games and stuff. But, like, when Skate and Halo 3 came out, like, a month apart, I was like, I probably wouldn't. And then Gears was good on Xbox, and I was just like, I'm never touching this Wii again. I really didn't. Like, for the most part, I just kind of sat there, and it's fine. I knew the people out there, though, like, as soon as I found out people were hacking it and, like, being able to do a lot of other shit with it, I was like, that might get some use out of it then. But, no, I mean, when those, I think also too demographically, like, not saying you were, like, Wii was for kids. It's just like, PlayStation started focusing, or like, let me phrase that. Nintendo wasn't focusing on the teenagers / adult crowd.
Yeah.
They were focused on the 6-year-old and the 60-year-old. Like, that whole mix in between, they weren't touching. So, I mean, but obviously, like I said, so did you play online, doing any online stuff, or were you
on Wii or on PS3?
No, on PlayStation. You're fine.
So
Online on Wii, you're fine.
So I was into Call of Duty for a little while, like Black Ops, and I think that was what I was into when I first got my PS3. But for the most part, it was all single player stuff. That's kind of what I got into.
Yeah, because I mean, you had mentioned earlier that you didn't play a whole lot of stuff with people around you, just because, like, at one, age difference, but two, you didn't really have too many friends that were like coming over the house and stuff like that to play games with you. So was it mostly like the action style games, or were you into RPGs? Because I mean, obviously, when you're a single player game, I won't say there's not as much you can play, but like there's certain genres that pop out, like when you're playing by yourself rather than multiplayer.
So for the most part, it was that action adventure, Uncharted style game, like Infamous and stuff like that. But then I did get into Skyrim, just about like everyone did.
Right.
And then from there, Dragon Age, Origins, and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say, if you are into single player action adventure games, PlayStation's pretty much your greatest console ever.
Yes.
Like, I won't. It's bad. I won't. It's shitty to say that, because it's like, if you're into single player shit, PlayStation's your console of choice. Only because, yeah, like a lot of the Sony first party shit doesn't focus on multiplayer whatsoever. Like, yes, Last of Us has a multiplayer, but not too many people played it for that.
Yep.
And then all of your JRPGs are all on PlayStation. Whereas, like, I think Xbox is like, do you enjoy multiplayer shooters? Because, like, or just multiplayer in general, because, like, all of their games tend to focus on that part of it. Like, you know, obviously there's Gears and Halo, but then, like, Forza, you know, now they have more games that are coming out now that aren't just multiplayer stuff. You know, when they bought Ninja Theory, they have, you know, Hellblade, and, you know, now they're going to have studios that aren't just, like, multiplayer shooters, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I mean, like, with PlayStation, I mean, that was pretty much your perfect console, because
it was, yes.
You had all those games there and everything. Did you ever get to experience Xbox around that time? Like, did you ever go over a friend's house?
I did go to a friend's house, and that actually is what made me get an Xbox One over a PS4 for the beginning of this current generation, was the fact that, like, I would go to a friend's house and they would just talk shit about PlayStation. and
I thought you were going to say, like, I went to Xbox and I went over his house and played on Xbox Live and it was great. And it was just like, no, fuck PlayStation.
Yep. So then after that, it was like being a dumb kid. You just kind of fall into what your friends are doing, and then got an Xbox, discovered how awesome Halo is, and then then I didn't end up getting a PS4 for like 3 years. It was that E3 conference when they first showed Spider-Man for the first time. That was like, I need to get this thing.
Yeah, like that. I mean, around that launch, like I was so into Xbox before 360 though. Like I was into Xbox, OG Xbox Online. Like that is honestly what has made me a fan of Xbox overall compared to PlayStation, is just the fact that the online stuff, like on Xbox, because they saw from the beginning that it was going to be the future, and they've put a lot of money. You know, when they were charging for Xbox Live, I was glad to give them my money because I knew that they were doing shit to make it so much better than other online services. Like, obviously, Sony and Nintendo figured that out, these newer consoles, because now they're charging for online.
Yeah.
But, like, Microsoft's been putting all this money into making Xbox Live fucking ridiculously good and stable, and ever since, like, I never strayed away from Xbox as far as my main console. I've always had, since that GameCube, PS2, Xbox era, I've had all of them. Like, I've never said, like, fuck this console, because I don't think you should do that. Like, you absolutely can't just, like, say fuck this and never play those games, because that's doing a disservice. But, no, Xbox, like, that's why, like, my friend got pissed when I chose a Wii over a 360. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But, yeah, I mean, with Xbox One, you weren't necessarily peer pressured, but in a way it was just like, hey, we're going to be playing on Xbox, you should go in too.
Gotcha. But yeah, I was like hearing about them staying up late at night on Party Chat, and I was playing on PlayStation 3 that didn't even have a Party Chat function at the time.
I was going to say, like, that was the point of, like, them making, like, when you pay for Xbox Live, they were like, by the way, you can do you can do Party Chat with up to 8 people on 360. And I was like, and that was like monument, because I remember when 360 first came out, it had Party Chat, or I'm going to phrase that, it had private chat where you and one person could talk, but it wasn't a party, it was just one-on-one. So, and that was like a big deal. And then all of a sudden they had an update on Xbox 360 where they're, by the way, you can do that with 8 people now, and everybody's head exploded. Like, great, we can just talk and bullshit in a lobby, and you know, that's what everybody did then. The only problem with that, when that happened, voice chat in game fucking just it's gone.
Yep.
Like, everyone was in a party, no one was talking to each other playing games. So, like, I only will tell you, like, as a person who played Xbox, the original Xbox, when there was no party system, and it was the Wild West of hearing everybody and talking mad shit, like, you had, like, to have, to have conversations of, like, party chat talking shit and, like, sending private messages to grown men fucking yelling at each other, like, it's a different story back in those days.
Yeah, absolutely wild. I wonder how many moms were fucked by young children.
Exactly. I'm gonna fuck your mom. Dude, you don't even know what your penis is. Stop talking to me right now. Like, yeah, dude, like, that was, well, the only thing that was cool is, like, in the original, like, Xbox days, was it required broadband internet, which, by the way, was, like, not common at all. So to have that, for the most part, all the people that were kind of like original Xbox Live people were adults.
Yeah.
Who had fucking jobs and, like, talked and were, like, actually trying to play games and not just bullshit. But then when it became more popular, when broadband became more popular, and then Christmas was the worst, because Christmas, a bunch of fucking kids would get their shit and be like, oh yeah, you want to play online, Timmy? And then you'd hear him call you the N-word 1,000 times. And you're just like, why do we do this? Like, why do I play this shit? But no, like, and then especially when 360 is when it fucking, everybody and their mother, like, had broadband, and then it started getting crazy. But then party chat happened, and now you don't hear in-game chat at all.
Yep, it's more of a nuisance when someone is on their microphone in game chat now.
Yeah, it's really strange because, and again, the thing is, though, you don't want to invite them to your party because that's almost like a friend group. It's like a private closed gate. It's like, I don't want to let some stranger in here and fuck. I felt bad the other day. I was playing Apex with some guy, and I realized that he wasn't very good at the game, but I won with him and that like streamer Tony I was playing with.
Okay.
He was the third who wasn't very good, but he held his own. So I friended him. And then I'm playing Apex with my buddy, and then he just joins the party because I forgot to make it private. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, hey dude. He's like, hey man. let's play some Apex. So he's our third playing Apex, and literally, I didn't realize that this dude was a chud, and he's just he's not a nice person, and he's talking all this shit. And apparently, because I wasn't listening to him on voice chat before, I just friended him. But then when he got into the party chat, I was like, oh no, this guy's a douchebag. This guy sucks. And I pulled the slick maneuver of, all right, well, that's my last game. I'm going to bed. And my buddy's like, me too. And the guy's like, oh, well, I guess I had fun. Have fun, guys. And I'm like, all right, cool. You guess you had fun. Meanwhile, we just appeared offline, played like 7 more games of Apex, and I blocked
well
that
done.
clown. I was like, I guess you had fun. He was always the first one to die. I'm like, dude, don't come at me with, I guess I had fun. I was like, so sometimes like that party chat thing, like it's funny because like the random friend encounters now online used to be so plentiful back in those days because like, now it's like I play games with my friends specifically. Like very rarely do I like friend people on Xbox Live who I have no idea who they are. Whereas back then that was like a bigger part of it. Like you would friend more people back then because it wasn't as your friends weren't just the only people playing with you. Like you had to play with so many other people and like party chat wasn't a thing. So like you just tended to find more randoms to play with. And I remember playing like Halo 2 back in the day with people on a regular basis who I had no idea who they were. Like I didn't know them in real life, but now it's like the only people I play games with on a regular basis are actual people I know in real life. Like very rarely do I actually play with strangers. And that's the exact reason why I don't play with strangers. Cause that guy was a douchebag. That guy sucked.
Yep.
So you went to Xbox One and were you ever, I won't say disappointed, but were you ever feeling because of like how Sony was being really shitty to Xbox at the beginning of the console cycle? Did you ever have that moment of like, fuck, I made a mistake or I did this? Like, did you ever have that feeling?
A couple of times I did actually. So the whole DRM thing with sharing games was definitely like, wow, they just did that. And then after that, I kind of just was like, I'm just going to accept what this is and play my Xbox, just play games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like because I was always with the Xbox for with their whole DRM thing. The only thing that was upsetting me was the fact that nobody had a straight story. Like you'd have one executive saying one thing, and then one executive saying the opposite, and it's just like, why are you guys not on the same page? This is frustrating. But I never felt. I just knew Xbox like I also, certain things they were saying I wasn't complaining about, like when they were like, oh, always online, but then they have the family share thing. I was like, that sounds good for me because I have multiple people in the house that want to play games. And, you know, the always online, like put a disc in and never put it in again. I was like, that sounds like all of the things they were saying I was cool with. And then they started backtracking on it. And I was like, well, I'm fine either way. But, yeah, I never like I only was bummed out because some of my Xbox friends bounced to PlayStation instead of sticking around to Xbox. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like all my friends, like a lot of friends I was playing Gears with were just like, you really went Xbox? I'm like, yeah, you really went PlayStation? Like, what do you, like, that's your main console? But again, like I was still having fun. Didn't care. PlayStation, I got one eventually, but
I think the price is what, made a lot of people go to PlayStation because Xbox, when that first launched, came with the Kinect.
$500, yeah.
Yep, $500.
Yeah, it was, and again, it was a hard sell just because of like when people saw Kinect, the original Kinect for 360, they were like, oh, like this is a cool toy, but they didn't think of it as like an actual like a integral part of the console. So then all of a sudden they're like, here's this advanced Kinect that has this, and this with it. And it was a hard sell for them. But yeah, the $100 extra, obviously, that messed it up. I also blame Don Matrick because fuck that guy.
Yeah, that guy sucks. God bless Phil Spencer, too.
God bless Phil Spencer. Dude, like, Don Matrick, if I saw him on the street, I would boo him out loud. I'd be like, boo! Fuck you.
Didn't he end up going to, like, Zynga or something?
Yeah, he did.
Like that? Yep. Yeah. And now, where's that company
Candy Crush,
now?
you fuck. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I was just, the worst thing, well, the thing is, too, is, like, I've mentioned this before, but it's that if you're the leader of the console before, you're cocky and you can't see straight. Like,
and we're seeing that again this generation.
we
It seems
are like all of a sudden Sony's like, we're fucking Sony crossplay. Who the fuck wants that? Oh, everyone else wants that.
Yep.
Like, okay, well, I guess we'll do that. But no, like, unfortunately, it's shitty. But also in moments like this, like where you get your face kicked in, you come back with, like, example, if Xbox wasn't quote unquote losing, would we have backward compatibility? Would we have Game Pass? Would we have all these changes that have been happening to make the console better? I don't know. Not saying it wouldn't have eventually happened, but like, Microsoft got their face kicked into the point where, like, oh shit, we got to get this fixed now.
that year at E3 when they showed off backwards compatibility, and I think they showed off the One S as well, that was like, these guys are doing something different now.
Right. Dude, when they announced backwards compatibility, I fucking stood up. I was like, holy shit. That's still something I'll go to YouTube for occasionally and just look up, like, backward compatibility announcement. Because, like, the best part is, like, my favorite part is if you watch it again, there's, like, a teleprompter where everybody's reading all the news and shit. And apparently somebody is looking at the prompter before Phil says it. And before he says the word backwards compatibility, some dude just goes, what? Like, he fucking freaks out. I'm like, God bless that guy for giving us the woo before Phil said it. Like, that's when you, again though, like, I think when you get your face kicked in, you come back and you're like, oh man, we need to make this better. And Sony, it would have happened to Sony too though. Like, Sony was cocky as shit with PS2, and then they said, you'll buy a PS3 and you'll get a second job to do it.
Yep.
Like, you're going to tell me to get a second job to buy your game console, and everybody said, fuck you. And then obviously they were losing. It's weird. They were losing, but then end of life, they ended up being on top. Just overall sales because Japan.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because Microsoft in Japan is like saying Hitler in Germany. Like, you just don't do it. You just don't say it. But then now it's like the opposite. Like, now Sony's, again, beating the shit out of Xbox. I think I saw something on Instagram. They announced they've sold like 96 million PS4s.
Yeah, they're almost at 100 million.
Fucking insane to think about. But now Sony gets to that point where they're number one and they say shit to, like, no to crossplay. And, like, it's just weird. Like, everybody else says yes, and you're the only one that wants to say no.
Especially with Xbox just being like, everyone should play with each other, and they're just open to, like, everything now.
Right. Again, though, here's the thing, though. If it were the other way around, would they be like that? Like, that's
exactly.
The whole problem is, like, right now, I'm happy to be an Xbox fan, which I've never not been happy, but I'm way happier to be an Xbox fan because of all the shit they're doing. And especially with a dude like Phil Spencer leading it, who knows what the fuck is up and knows what needs to happen for gaming to be where it should be.
Yep.
Good, like, thank God he's in charge and not Don Matrick anymore, because that guy would have been like, how do we put TV in this? Like, stop fucking talking. But no, like, as far as it goes with, obviously gaming habits today are probably, you have both now. Do you have a Switch as well?
I do have a Switch, yep.
Yeah. I think, like, when you get to a certain part, like, especially when you get old and you have disposable income, like, you have to kind of have everything in order to experience gaming. So,
yep.
Like,
yeah, I think it was following Kind of Funny and them just, like, constantly talking about games as well was just like, I should get into this a bit more. And then, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, like, Kind of Funny, I will say, just in gaming culture in general, like, if you follow, like, podcasts, like, I would listen to Podcasts Unlocked, Beyond, Nintendo Voice Chat, Kind of Funny. Like, I would listen to all these people, and, like, that amplified my love for video gaming, not just, like, as games, but, like, the business behind it. Like, hearing different, like, stories of, like, behind the scenes of how games are developed and shit. Like, when you start hearing, like, when you read Jason Schreier's stories of, like, how BioWare is fucking crazy. And, like, how they just, like, how they're fucking up. And just, like, those types of articles interest me so much. And same thing, like, when the Epic one came out, it's like people work 100 hours a week, and, like, I can't even I work 40 hours a week, and I'm like, fuck, that's awful. like 40 hours a week doesn't sound fun. Doing 100 sounds horrible. Like, granted, again, they're getting paid overtime, and I get it, but, like, that's still, like,
that is no sleep.
I have a family. I have kids. Like, I kind of want to enjoy them too, and not just, making fucking Fortnite dances. Like, if I was the dude who was in charge of making Fortnite dances and I had to work 100 hours a week, I'd put a bullet in my brain.
Hey, maybe it pays really well.
It better pay all really fucking well. Like, it better pay based off of how much money I make off these emotes. Cause like, and then you're responsible for making all these kids dance like that. I don't know if you've been to like, dude, I went to a father-daughter dance.
Ouch.
And of course it was nice. I got to dance with my daughter, who's lovely. But literally it was just a sea of flossing and Fortnite dancing. Like, that's all it was. And I was like, I wonder where you got your dance moves from. So
Yeah, I work in retail, and there are some kids who will come in with their parents and they'll just drop everything in the middle of an aisle and just start flossing, just random. Like why are you doing this? But I guess they are.
It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you flossing right now? Where do you work retail?
I work at a local, well, not really a local. You probably would know it, actually. I work at Menards.
Yes. Save
Yeah.
big money at Menards.
Oh, I hear that way too much. And,
I bet you do.
And believe me,
Hold
like,
on, people are flossing in Menards?
children are.
I thought they would be like hyped in like a video game section and like see, like I thought you maybe worked at like a Target and like, oh,
Nope.
there's a Fortnite dance. There's a Fortnite character. I can floss. No, they're in fucking Menards in the tool section, just flossing.
Nope. Yep, that's just kids today, I think. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Going to Menards, though, like, I am probably the least qualified person to work there. Like, I don't know much about handiwork and stuff like that. It was more just like,
Right.
I need a job. But yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I was gonna say working retail, like I worked at Best Buy and I've worked at a video game store. And I would say working at a video game store is fun. However, the only one that's around anymore probably isn't going to be too fun anymore because they might be fucking gone soon.
Yep.
Like, I worked at Best Buy though. Best Buy's fun. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I've thought about working at Best Buy. It's more or less just trying to find time between school and work to do things.
No, that makes sense and everything. So as far as your gaming habits today, obviously based off your Twitter, it said you like Spider-Man. So I'm assuming you really liked that game.
Oh my god. It wasn't my game of the year, but
How the fuck was it? God of War?
Yes, it was.
See,
Yep.
for me, I said no, fuck that, and I said God of War, or not God of War. I said Spider-Man was my favorite game of the year.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, Spider-Man was what made me buy my PS4 originally, and then like when they announced that the PlayStation 4 Pro was happening, I pre-ordered that shit immediately.
Nice.
Yep. So yeah, that was probably.
Is that the console you ended up buying, or you had like because you probably bought a console when it got announced, but then the game didn't come out for like 2 years later.
Mhm. So I got a PlayStation like launch PS4
Right.
at the time, but then sold that once I got my Pro.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's like definitely no reason for you to have both at all. I was in that boat where I was like, hey, I'm gonna get that Spider-Man as well, like the Spider-Man PS4 because it was like nice. For whatever reason, like I think it's because I don't play my PlayStation enough to warrant like buying a Pro right now. Because honestly,
Yeah.
I'll probably just wait until 5 comes out and just get that. Because I knew before they said it that it was going to be backward compatible because you can't fucking not do that right now.
No,
Like
no.
going forward, things have to work, and that's why I was holding off on like. I was like, I'm not going to buy a Pro when I barely play the thing as it is anyways. I play it like once or twice a year, you know. Big games, obviously your Sony exclusives I'll play it for, but like I'm not playing any. I have my X. Like I'm not
Exactly.
playing anything else on that thing. But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Spider-Man. That was my game of the year. Only because God of War and Greek, all the mythology shit, I can't stand.
Oh, okay.
So like gameplay wise, it was fun and it was a cool
Yes.
story. But they were like Zeus and this and that. I'm like, I don't fucking like any of this. I'm just playing this because it's supposed to be good, and it was. But no, Spider-Man was phenomenal. Like the game was great, and I'm really sad it's only on PlayStation.
Yeah, that's
Like,
Ugh.
good for them though. That's literally, in my opinion, one of the biggest gets that they have. Only because like Spider-Man, people know Spider-Man, and people will like buy a console for a Spider-Man game. Not saying God of War isn't good or Horizon isn't good, but like the average person doesn't know who the fuck Kratos is.
Yep.
but they know who Spider-Man is.
Everyone knows who Spider-Man is.
Especially after this weekend, everybody really knows who Spider-Man is. Like, dude, Avengers did $1 billion in a weekend.
Mm-hmm. Insane.
Like, oh my God. But no, like, I see, like, that right there, people will see that movie and go, is there any Spider-Man video games? Oh, wait, it's only on PlayStation? And they'll go that route. So I was hoping Marvel would get some sort of exclusive on Xbox.
We'll see. I mean, it's possible
it's still possible. Like, I was hoping they would really do some shit like that, though. Like, if they would, if they got, I won't say an Avengers game, but just like something. Like, some sort of Marvel property. If they got like a good Guardians game, I don't know. But, I mean, just don't make it a Thor game. Because no one fucking likes Thor. But no, like, that was the only thing I was kind of like bummed out when they didn't get their own specific exclusive game. But also Sony still owns Spider-Man's rights, so it makes sense. And also Insomniac is the greatest company in the world to make a Spider-Man game.
Yes, like when I saw that they were making that after playing Sunset Overdrive, I was like, good Lord, this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and by the way, people, if you have not played Sunset Overdrive, get your shit together and go play it, because that game is great.
It's so much fun. Just, I can't even put it into words how much fun I had with that game.
Yeah, like, and I mean, that, and again, nobody played it because it was like a year after the Xbox One came out when nobody gave a shit. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, that game is great. Same thing with Titanfall. Like, it pissed me off how good Titanfall was.
The original, yes.
Yeah, the first one, and how nobody played it just because it was on Xbox. And like, meanwhile, that was like the game, if you owned an Xbox One and did not have Titanfall, something was wrong with you. Like, everyone, and I mean, that game was so good. And then when it finally came to PS2 or PS4, I was initially like, in a way, I wish it stayed Xbox exclusive, but also I want more people to play it. Yeah. And then EA shot it behind the barn when they put it out with Battlefield and fucking Call of Duty 2 weeks later. I'm like,
yeah, it sucked. And that game was awesome.
Yeah, I was saying, Titanfall 2's campaign is literally so good. It's so good. I mean, everybody needs to play that game too. Hey, everybody, if you want to go play games, play Spider-Man, Titanfall, and Sunset Overdrive. Go do those. That's what you should do.
Yeah, but the original Titanfall, my Xbox One came bundled with it. So, like, I was playing that game immediately after I opened up the box.
Nice. And, because that was the first pack-in that they had for it. Because, like, the Xbox came out in November, and then Titanfall came out March.
Yep.
Like, that was the first one. Was that... I'm trying to think. Was that when they... No, they didn't... I'm trying to remember when they...
It still had the Kinect.
Yeah. Because they unbundled the Kinect, I want to say... I don't know if it was within the first year.
It was. I think it was right after E3. They said it's going to be $400 now just for the console.
Yeah, you're right. It was May of 2014. It was literally like, you're right. It was literally at E3, basically. They said, to unbundle Xbox One and Kinect. Because I remember it being shortly... like not very long after that, because they were, I think they saw just how crazy PS4 was selling. And I mean, Xbox wasn't selling bad, but just compared to PlayStation, it was definitely not as good. So it makes sense. And I think that's also when, around that time, I think that's when Phil Spencer became head of Xbox.
Yeah, I believe so too.
That was literally like, it was weird because as soon as he became head of Xbox, like 4 things happened. It was just like, boom, boom. You don't need fucking gold for Netflix anymore. We're unbundling Kinect. We have this option. Like, he just started going nuts with it and changing all this shit, like, right away. So, but yeah, I mean, I had it though day one. Like, I have a day one console.
Okay.
I don't regret it. It was just, like I said, the best launch game was Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, and Battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
But those were also on 360, so it's like, I didn't necessarily need an Xbox One for this. And that was also like, graphically, it wasn't so much better either. You know, I'm not saying it wasn't better. It clearly was, but it wasn't like going from like a 1 to an X, where you look at an X and you're like, Jesus Christ, look at this. But no, I mean, it was still fun. I had a blast. I didn't get a PS4 until I want to say probably a year and a half into the life cycle. I got it like as the Uncharted collection came out, because I didn't play the Uncharted games at all. But again, following Kind of Funny and how they love them, I was like, okay, I should probably get one now. So that's basically when I ended up doing it. As far as it goes now, though, so like I said you have school and work. So but you are playing games on a pretty regular basis. That's good.
Like pretty much when I get home, as soon as because I do a lot of homework between class and work, so I don't have a lot of homework to do actually at home. So then once I'm there, I am playing games.
Nothing wrong with that. Are you doing any... Like, is it more just still like the single player stuff mostly?
For the most part, yeah. I actually play Apex with the two guests that you will have before
Right.
me pretty often.
The KF Duval takeover?
KF Duval, damn right. But yeah, Apex Legends has pretty much dominated my life. That and the new MLB The Show game has basically what I've been playing right now.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Speaking of baseball games, Xbox people get fucked yearly.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Like-
that was another reason to get me back on PlayStation was baseball.
Yeah, because I mean, did you ever play any of the baseball games that were prior to that? Because like they had 2K, they also had MVP baseball, but then the show was always like the highlight of it all, and then eventually like no one decided to make a baseball game anymore besides them.
So the show, I was basically the only game I played. I liked the way that it was played more than 2K. Like I had played 2K at a friend's house and was not a fan, but I would actually buy the show on PS3 even when I was playing on Xbox One just so I could play baseball on something.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing that sucks is like if you're a baseball fan, like you seriously don't even have an option. It's like there are literally no baseball games that are MLB licenses on Xbox. Like, sorry, you just got to kind of deal with it. Like, just go buy a PlayStation if you want that. Hopefully one day. I think it's the scared thing because like same thing. I had talked. I think it was actually with Tyler yesterday. How NBA Live still tries to happen. Even though NBA Live is fucking trash and like 2K is always going to be the best basketball game ever, EA still tries. I'm like, instead of doing that, instead of trying with Live, get the baseball license and make the Xbox baseball game and you will sell so many more copies than you would have Live ever. Cause Live
Yeah, I
is
think
never
I
gonna be
saw
the game.
the other day that Live was on sale for like $8 and I was like, good Lord.
And you know what? People still bought 2K over it. People still was like, 2K could have been 60 and then be like, yeah, we'll still buy 2K.
Yep.
That's why I'm like, if EA instead of focusing on Live where nobody gives a shit, just took that and literally put it into a baseball game, even if you put it on PlayStation, sure. But just if you had it on Xbox, period, you would sell, I guarantee you they would sell more copies of a baseball game on Xbox if it was exclusive than Live across any of those. Like, because there's just no market for an Xbox version of it. So, granted, would it be good? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
It would be better option than nothing, though. So that's as much as you can say. If people wanted to check you out online, on Twitter, all that stuff, where would they go?
They would look up The Postman with 4 N's. Don't ask why there's 4 N's. That's just how it happened. And that's about the only place online that you can find me. I guess Instagram is the same handle as well.
Okay, and I'll have links in the show notes as well, so if you want to check out all the cool things he does there, maybe you can play against the KF Duval crew in something. I don't know. Hopefully Apex will get some private servers one day, or, you know, something more than just 3v3, but we'll see. But dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you sharing all your stories with me, man.
For sure.
All right, and again, thank you, Brendan, for being on the show. Guys, if you want to check him out on Twitter, you can follow him at The Postman with 4 N's at the end. So basically The Postman, but at the end have 4 N's. And you can go ahead and check him out there, as well as you could also follow basically the KF Duval crew. Just follow them at KF Duval. Guys, if you want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group, so feel free to search that up on Facebook. Just look up Growing Up Gaming, as well as the website, gugpodcast.com, and on YouTube, just search up GUG Podcast there as well. Guys, again, if you guys know somebody that has interesting stories, wants to share them, or just, you know, somebody who would be great guests, send them my way. Make sure you share the show with your buddies. Let them know what's going on. Of course, do the whole normal podcast stuff, 5 stars. If you want to rate 5 stars, great. If not, let me know why. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your continued support. I appreciate it. And I will catch you guys next week with another new episode. See ya.